He didn't lose it slowly. There was no warning, no gradual decline. One decision, and everything collapsed. But hey, race, what people don't realize. By the time the world saw the fall, the mistake had already been made. Years earlier, quietly. And that's where this story really begins. Because from the outside, he looked unstoppable. Private jets, global influence, deals worth billions. The kind of life most people spend their entire lives chasing. But behind that image, there was pressure, decisions, and one growing belief that would eventually destroy everything. Let's go back, before the headlines, before the collapse, back to when everything was working. He wakes up in a penthouse overlooking the city, floor-to-ceiling glass, the skyline stretching endlessly in front of him. His phone is already buzzing. Messages, emails, opportunities. He doesn't feel overwhelmed. He feels in control. Every decision he makes moves money, real money. He walks into a meeting later that morning. Room full of executives, people older than him, more experienced, but they're listening to him, waiting for his direction. And in that moment, it's clear. He's not just successful, he's powerful. But hey, race, where things start to shift. Success changes how you see risk. At the beginning, you're careful. You calculate. You double-check everything. Because you're afraid to lose. But as you start winning, something changes. You stop thinking about losing. You start thinking, I can't fail. And that belief is dangerous. Now imagine this. He's sitting alone one night. Late. The city is quiet. A deal is on the table. A massive one. The kind of deal that could multiply his wealth, expand his influence, put him on another level entirely. He's looking at the numbers, scrolling, reading. Everything looks right. On paper. But something feels off. A small doubt. Not loud. Just there. And this is the moment that matters. Because this is where most people pause. They question. They slow down. But he doesn't. Because he's made big decisions before. And they all worked. So his thinking shifts. Why would this be different? He leans back, takes a breath, and convinces himself. This is just another opportunity, not a risk. And this is where everything changes. Because he's no longer evaluating the deal. He's trusting his past success. And that's the blind spot. Now let's contrast this. Earlier in his journey, he would have taken this same deal and broken it apart, checked every detail, challenged every assumption. He would have asked, what could go wrong? What am I missing? Where is the risk hiding? But now, he skips that process. Because confidence replaced caution. And that's how the mistake starts. Not with failure, with success. But hey, race, what people don't realize. The bigger you become, the more expensive your mistakes are. A small error at the bottom costs little. The same error at the top costs everything. And he was at the top. So when he finally makes the decision, it doesn't feel dangerous. It feels normal. Just another move. Just another step forward. He signs. And for a moment, nothing happens. No alarm. No signal. No immediate consequence. Just silence. And that's the scariest part. Because when a bad decision doesn't hurt immediately, you assume it's right. But in reality, the damage has already started. Quietly. Behind the scenes. And by the time it becomes visible, it's too late to fix. That one decision didn't just risk his money. It exposed everything. His system. His assumptions. His blind spots. But hey, race, what people don't realize. The most expensive mistakes don't explode instantly. They spread. Quietly. And by the time you notice, you're already inside it. Now go back to that moment. The deal is signed. The money is committed. Everything is in motion. He walks out of that room the same way he walked in. Confident. Calm. Certain. Nothing feels wrong. And that's the first trap. Because the risk didn't feel like risk. It felt like progress. Weeks pass. Updates come in. Reports look stable. Numbers seem fine. And this is where everything starts to crack. He's sitting in his office late one night. The city lights reflecting on the glass behind him. His screen glows. A report just came in. He scrolls. Slowly. At first, nothing unusual. Then he pauses. One number. It doesn't match. Not by much, but enough to feel wrong. He leans closer. Reads it again. That's strange. Silence. Now his mind starts working. Maybe it's just a delay. Maybe the data isn't updated yet. Maybe I'm overthinking it. And this is the moment that matters. Because right here, he has a choice. Pause. Investigate. Question everything. Or ignore it. And this is where everything changes. He leans back. Exhales. and chooses the easier path. It's fine. He closes the file. That one moment, that one decision, is where the collapse begins. But it doesn't look like collapse. Not yet. Days later, another update. Another small inconsistency. Then another. Now it's no longer one number. It's a pattern. And this is where the pressure starts building. He's on a call. Voice on the other end. Calm, but sharp. Can you explain what's happening here? He pauses. Not long enough to be obvious, but long enough to feel it. We're looking into it, he says. Controlled. Measured. But inside, something shifts. Because now, it's not just a detail. It's a problem. And problems don't stay hidden for long. Do you stop everything? Or do you try to fix it quietly? That's the pressure. And most people don't choose truth. They choose control. He convinces himself, I just need to stabilize it. So he doubles down. More money. More involvement. More exposure. Trying to fix something that was never stable. And this is where mistakes become disasters. Because now, he's not making decisions from clarity. He's making them from pressure. And pressure changes everything. Now the calls become frequent. More direct. Less patient. What's the actual situation? How exposed are we? Is this contained? And for the first time, he doesn't have control over the answers. That confidence he had before, it's gone. Replaced with calculation. Then concern. Then something heavier. Fear. Now imagine sitting there. Phone in your hand. Another call coming in. You hesitate before picking up. Because you already know. This is not going away. And this is the breakdown moment. Not public. Not loud. Internal. He replays the decision in his head. That night. That deal. That feeling. That small doubt he ignored. And now, it's clear. That was the moment. That was the mistake. But now, it's too late. Because once trust starts breaking, everything follows. Investors pull back. Partners step away. Markets react. And what was once controlled turns into chaos. The same system that made him powerful now accelerates his downfall. Because scale works both ways. It multiplies success, but it also multiplies mistakes. Everything starts collapsing. Fast. Relentless. And from the outside, it looks like it happened overnight. It looks simple. A billionaire made one bad decision and lost everything. That's what people see. But inside, he knows the truth. This didn't start today. It started the moment he chose confidence over caution. That one decision was never just one decision. It was a chain. And once it started, it couldn't be stopped. And this is where it becomes uncomfortable. Because this doesn't just happen to billionaires. It happens to anyone who ignores the moment that feels slightly wrong. This is not just his story. It's yours too, just on a smaller scale. Let's make this real. You're sitting one night. Your room is quiet. Your phone is in your hand. You open your bank app. You stare at the numbers. Money came in this month. But somehow, it doesn't feel like progress. Bills are handled, but nothing is growing. And there's this quiet thought in your head. At this rate, will anything actually change? You don't say it out loud, but you feel it. Now race the moment that matters. Because right here, you have a choice. You can pause, look deeper, question what you're doing. Or you can close the app, distract yourself, and tell yourself, they'll figure it out later. And this is where everything starts to separate. Because most people choose later. Not because they're lazy, but because it's easier. Easier to avoid. Easier to delay. Easier to stay comfortable. But race what people don't realize. That small moment is the beginning of everything. Because what you ignore today compounds quietly. Now imagine this. You keep going like this. Same routine. Same income. Same decisions. Months pass. Then years. Nothing breaks. But nothing grows either. And one day, you look back, and you realize you've been moving, but you haven't been going anywhere. That's the real trap. Not failure. Stagnation. And this is exactly how it starts. But with small moments, where you choose not to question anything. Now compare that to a different version of you. Same situation. Same income. Same life. But this time, when something feels off, you don't ignore it. You sit with it. You ask, why is nothing growing? What am I doing wrong? What needs to change? And that moment changes everything. Because now, you're aware. And awareness leads to action. You start small. You don't quit your job. You don't make drastic moves. But you stop operating blindly. You begin to adjust. You learn. You test. You build something small. At first, nothing happens. No results. No reward. Just effort. And this is where most people stop again. because it feels pointless. But what they don't realize is, this is where the shift is happening. Not outside, inside. Because now, you're no longer reacting to life. You're thinking, you're observing, you're making decisions differently. And over time, that difference compounds. Your income starts to change. Your choices improve. Your direction becomes clearer. Not instantly, but gradually. And that's the part most people don't have the patience for. They want results now. But real change doesn't happen loudly. It happens quietly. Until one day, it becomes obvious. Now here's the truth most people avoid. The billionaire didn't fall because he made one decision. He fell because he stopped questioning himself. And that same pattern exists in everyday life. You don't lose everything overnight. You lose it slowly, by ignoring what feels wrong. And by the time it becomes visible, it's too late. So here's the real question. Not about him, about you. When something feels off in your life, do you pause? Or do you ignore it? Because that answer is shaping your future right now. Not next year, not someday, right now. And the truth is, you already know the moments you've been ignoring. The only question is, how long will you keep ignoring them?